Struggling with change and how to cope with it. Many people on the autism spectrum, such as individuals with Asperger's and high-functioning autism, often struggle with change. This means when they do certain things, such as follow a routine, follow a schedule, or expecting something, that suddenly a change of plans happens, they get overwhelmed, frustrated, and experience an anxiety as a result. There are three main reasons why this happens, and there are three solutions to this in regards to coping with it. The first reason why people with Asperger's often struggle with change is how the autistic brain is wired to focus on one specific task or mindset at a time. They often focus on one task and have a strong desire of completing it before starting a new one. This often makes it hard for them to start a new task if they're not done with the previous task. The reason is because their mind will focus on one part of the brain and not switch to the other parts of the brain as easily. This makes it harder for them to see the bigger picture and be immediately open to other ideas. Furthermore, this makes it hard for them to switch gears. They may continue to play on their computer when they know they need to clean up their room. If they are upset about something, they may seem to get stuck on that emotional experience and to seem to have trouble snapping out of it. A person can cope and deal with this struggle by learning that it takes more effort to switch a mindset compared to others, but they still can push themselves through it. The effort it takes to switch a mindset may seem harder and more painful than it actually is. Once they force themselves to start a task by switching a mindset, they may realize it wasn't as difficult as they thought it was. It will take effort, but the period of time it takes to push themselves over the hump is quick. Now that they are rewarded by being able to start the new task in which they know is important, or be out of an emotional state that was making them frustrated. Finally, learning how to do this will help an individual accept change more in the long run. The second reason why people on the spectrum don't like change is because they often struggle with short-term memory and forgetting things. People with Asperger's and high-functioning autism often have trouble remembering several things at once. For example, they are being trained at work and the supervisor gives them multi-step instructions. They may not be able to retain all the information at that sitting without asking the supervisor to repeat what they've said or have it written down. It's easy for them to forget multiple steps, mix up the essential information, and get overwhelmed. When a situation changes, the anxious individual understands that it requires having to learn new things, having to process it, and remember it. It takes more effort in trying to not to forget things. In other words, a new routine or deadline makes an individual have to consciously focus on it more than others in order to not forget it. This can be overwhelming when trying to do other stuff at the same time, especially when a situation happens unexpected. For example, if an individual has an unexpected doctor's appointment later in that day, that individual will have to think more about it in order to not forget the appointment, and that can be stressful. A person, however, can deal and cope with this issue in 4 different ways. First, they can write things down to remember essential information. Secondly, they can plan their life in ways that may not prevent change but minimize the chances of unexpected things from happening. Third, they can understand and try to accept the fact that change is part of life and sometimes a good thing, so it is less of a surprise when it does happen. Fourth, when unexpected change does happen, they can allow themselves a 5-minute break alone to process the new information to minimize being overwhelmed, or worse, a meltdown. The third reason why people on the spectrum often struggle with change is because it's hard for many to follow instructions. The reason why people with Asperger's and high-functioning autism generally have trouble following directions are because of 3 main reasons. The first reason is because of short-term memory struggles already mentioned. Secondly, people with Asperger's often have a mind that likes to wander. This is often caused by the hyper-focused nature of the autism mind and a recently thought of task that often spills over into another task, making it hard to focus. Sometimes, this is caused by the fact that they also like to daydream. Other times, it's something excited or stressed about. Third, They often have trouble implying information, in other words, getting the meaning out of context clues or reading in between the lines. This causes them to often not understand the implied meaning of even simple information sometimes. The struggle in following directions makes it overwhelming. Some ways to cope with this is first, learning techniques and how to follow directions. Learn to ask people to repeat information in a different way and then paraphrase what they've said back to them to ensure information is interpreted properly. Second, have things written down. This is helpful in making sure information is understood well. These solutions will help minimize the stress of change on an even greater level. People with Asperger's and high-functioning autism often struggle with change. These are some of the main reasons I've observed, but I'm sure there are more. If you've noticed other reasons, please share your knowledge. I believe the more aware of the reasons why people with Asperger's struggle, the more we can help them deal with them. This, as a result, can help the world as a whole. I hope you find this video helpful. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.